People who have pets, what made you choose that animal instead of the rest? We were at the shelter and all the other dogs were barking and jumping. She just stood and stared at us with the soulful eyes. Could cry thinking about it. She's 11 or 12 or so now. Best dog ever. That's how I got my dog. I had to put her predecessor down. But I knew I'd get another dog and would know when I was ready. A week later, I went to the shelter. And most dogs were jumping and looking for attention. But mine was sitting there silently and we locked eyes across the way. And I knew pretty much then she was mine. My brother was with me. And he says you could see the hearts fluttering in the air as I walked over to her. Asked to take her to the yard. And within 30 seconds I knew she was mine. Took her home about an hour later. And right as we walked past the last gate of the shelter's property line before the parking lot, she turned and let out 2 barks, as if saying goodbye. Turned out she ended up being incredibly sick to the tune of almost $3,000. And it was worth every single penny. I'm a big believer in things happening for a reason. And she needed someone who could take care of her and help her get better just as I needed someone to help my heart heal over losing my big guy before her. We're going on almost 3 years together now and she is absolutely the best dog anyone could ever have. My daughter chose our cat. She really liked the name Clementine and kept asking about her. We looked online the night before. My daughter made up a song and danced around to Clemmy Clemmy Clementine. Single quote. When we got to the shelter that day, I was actually set on getting a different cat, but we saw Clementine and she practically climbed in my daughter's arms. Clementine is home with us now. We have had her for about 2 months. She is 4 years old and so incredibly patient with both of my kids who want to carry her everywhere. Clementine has also been a huge help with my depression and grief and dealing with my divorce. She licks my tears away. Her full name is Clementine Calais Alice Shine, the epitome of feline perfection. I knew I wanted a dog. Grew up with them and I was on my own and reasonably able to care for one. I went to shelter after shelter. 6 months of adorable dogs and puppies. None of them clicked. One day I went to my local shelter after just moving to a new town. I saw a litter of pups from the reservation nearby. Rescues from the side of the road. No mom in sight. Joni was asleep so I took her sister out. Pup wanted nothing to do with me so I took her back to her kennel. Joni had woken up. Sat there staring. Classic border collie stripe. Adorable polka dot nose. Took her out to the run. Set her down. She just watched me. 10 weeks old. Just sat and watched me. I walked away a bit. Watched. Then I whistled. She hauled ass towards me and wagged her tiny puppy tail so hard. We just absolutely clicked. From the day she came home with me we were inseparable. She died in her sleep 3 days ago. At the age of 13. In decline but otherwise healthy. We were lucky enough to have one last adventure to Montana at our family cabin. Her favorite place. She was buried in a beautiful German cotton cloth next to a stump meant for carving into a chair, with an everlasting view of beautiful Livingston Peak. My shadow has left me. Everyone I know who has a dog now decided to get one after meeting her. My parents included. I will miss her for the rest of my life, but I am so grateful she passed in the way and place that she did. Rest in beauty, my constant companion. Before I got my dog he was shot in his hindquarters. Every other animal was all jumping around when I passed the monsieur. I saw this dog really scared and curled up in a corner. But as soon as I approached to pet him, he growled for a bit. After a few minutes, he stopped growling and let me pet. Hi monsieur, he started wagging his tail. I've had Bluff for about 8 years now, and he's living his best life. When I was little my dad was at the flea market and found a small ratty puppy with its other pretty litter mates. As he was looking at them he overheard the cells say something along the lines of "That ugly puppy is never going to sell, we should take care of it when we get home." My dad, fearing the worst, called my mom as she was picking us up from elementary school and told her the situation. They ended up driving me down and brought me to the stand where my dad handed me a small gangly black Chihuahua Dachshund mix puppy. "Do you want her?" my dad asked. "Yes." And that is how I got first dog Lucy. I need a photo of this good girl. Oh, Juniper's time to shine. My partner and I were looking at kittens up for adoption, and there was a photo of a cute little black and white cute kid in the background. We saw this other little idiot trying to eat the litter tray. We went in with that picture and asked if the kitten in the background was available, and as soon as they put her in my hands, she squeaked and climbed up onto my shoulder. She's 3 in December. Drunk at the state fair, and we realized my husband wasn't sneezing in the rabbit barn. So we have Monty the rabbit now. How many bones around his lair? A full 50 men. Hens lay an egg a day. Help in the garden. Cost nothing to feed. Compost my kitchen scraps. Are adorable. Tameable. Easy to clean after. This almost reads like a poem, monsieur. An ode to fowl. Hens lay an egg a day. Help in the garden. Cost nothing to feed. Compost my kitchen scraps. Adorable. Tameable. Easy to clean after. Bok, bok, bok. My dog just showed up at my house one day. He was 7 to 8 weeks old, crying at my door covered in fleas. Wish I could ask how he decided to choose me. Chickens cause free butt nuggets, and eggs become butt nuggets forevermore. Annabelle chose me. I was killing time before a doctor's appointment at a pet store where they had some cats for adoption from our local shelter. She was absolutely gorgeous. Solid black, sleek and shiny. She was also being so sweet and mewing quietly. Our eyes locked and I fell in love. That was 2 years ago and we're still inseparable. Well, this platypus looked at both of us at the same time. Hey, do you know by chance where's him right now? I could have sworn he was right here. We went to look at a litter of puppies. The breeders had an enormous backyard with beautiful tiered landscaping. My husband was trying to decide which puppy looked the sturdiest, or had the blockiest head. Meanwhile, my toddler got bored and began wandering the premises. All of the puppies stayed by mama dog to nap or play with each other except one. This one little skinny puppy saw my toddler leave the group and followed her. And I followed them both. This puppy tailed my daughter all over the yard, watching her and guarding her. When we finally returned to the group, I told my husband what had happened and we agreed that this pup was the one. We've had him 5 years now, and he's definitely her guardian angel. My cats came as a bonded pair. If I didn't take them, they would have been split up and I couldn't live with myself. I don't look for dogs. I let dogs find me. The 2 dogs I've owned, me personally, not family pets, have been ones who needed homes. The first was literally the smartest dog I have ever seen. She was about 2 years old and had a very rough first year of her life, which scared her emotionally. A coworker had taken her in because she was a vet assistant and ended up having to move back in with her mom and couldn't take her with. She was such an amazing companion. We went on many adventures together. She was unbelievably smart. We had 10 amazing years before she passed away. I know deep down I will never ever meet a dog quite like Zero. The second was another coworker who was looking for a home for the boy of their brother-sister dogs. The sister found a home quickly, but the boy was about to go to the pound because they couldn't find someone to take. Hi, monsieur. I asked to meet him, and when I did, he had this look in his eyes like he was so lost we suspect he spent his whole childhood in a cage. My GF and I at the time took him in, and he is the most cuddly and affectionate pup ever. He is 5 now and is nothing but happy all the time. Don't shop. Adopt. We were going to just look at cats when we were hanging out in the kitten room playing around. Then I noticed that there was a tiny kitten hiding in a back corner. I pulled her out and held her, and she ran back to her corner. Pulled her out again. Same thing. The third time she head butted my hand, and the rest is history. 9 years later she's still skittish AF. But every night she sleeps on my chest and headbutts my chin for pets. He bit me immediately when I sat on the ground with "Hi monsieur," not a nibble. A huge bite. He's the beautiful, fluffy bunny who would get picked immediately. And he did before I met him. By a family who didn't understand that rabbits don't want to be ignored in cages and poked at by kids. So he turned aggressive and scared. His first reaction to humans was to attack because he was so afraid. It took a couple months of free-range roaming, farm-fresh hay, gentle pets, and careful lettuce offerings. Now he licks my face when he's not cuddled up with his bunny girlfriend. I was of the mindset that rabbits were like hamsters. For the most part, you leave them in their cage to their own devices and give them the enrichment they need, and that's that. My girlfriend at the time, though, had had a Flemish giant with her ex-husband, and was always desperate for a new bunny. I just never understood why. Then we decided to get one and we met Voodoo, the blackest rabbit in existence. She was at a bunny rescue near St. Louis, Missouri, which was a 4-hour drive. She had been at the rescue for over a year when usually they don't stay there longer than a few months. I thought she was soft and friendly, and my ex liked her just fine. Little did we know that this was now going to be my rabbit and not hers. She bonded with me and I had so much fun learning that essentially they have some intense personalities. She would get furious with me when I cleaned her cage in her room. So much so that I had to lure her out with food just so I could clean in peace. She loved to chase my cat, and cuddled with the best of them, monsieur. I'll never forget that rabbit, and someday I'll adopt another one. They are a lot of fun and offer so much more than I ever would have guessed. I decided one day that I wanted a dog. I went walking down the street until I found a house that had puppies out front. This is Fly in Northern Ontario for context. I walked up to homeowner and asked, "Can I have one of your dogs?" He hummed and hawed for a bit, so I said, "I will give you $60. Literally 3 seconds later he said, "Sold." There was a black one and a brown one. The black one was already accounted for, so I took the brown one. He was 4 weeks old. He had that puppy breath. While I was leaving the guy's house, the largest, gruffest dog I have ever seen walked down the street. The owner yelled at me and said, "That's the dad." My dog is now 110 pounds. I have the black one now too. He turned up on my doorstep about 6 months later. It was -40. He was skin and bone, so I just kind of let him in the house. He's been with me ever since. I realize now that you don't really choose your pet. They choose you. Cat chose us. Walking by the cages at the shelter and she stuck out her paw and grabbed my husband. I didn't stand a chance after that. I wanted an older cat, so I went to the SPCA. I saw a cute little face peeking out from a cage. A nervous little 6-year-old calico. She had been neglected and abandoned. Fur completely matted and covered in fleas. She was adopted and returned because she meowed too much. I took her home and that night she fell asleep in my arms, stretched out on her back. She's cuddled up with me every night since. There are a bunch of websites and people that talk about the tendencies of different breeds of cats. My 14-year-old calico doesn't really have any of those traits, with the exception of being super talkative. This cat chats constantly. She beeps and honks and makes noises no cat has ever made before, and it amazes me every time. So, this guy showed up by the window when I was around 10. He was a friend of the family, known at the farm. Rides in on a motorcycle and hands me a puppy inside a plastic bag. A legit plastic bag. He says, "Hey, go show the puppy to your mother." I go and do it and say how cute the puppy is. Ask if we can keep it. Get rejected. I walk back to the window and in the meantime, I hear the motorcycle engine run, and as I get to the window to finally hand the plastic bag dog back, the motherfucker is out the farm's gate and I have a new puppy. I guess everybody wins. Last dog left and I lowballed the owner for "Hi monsieur." Was it from a breeder? In any case, good on you. Found him on a flyer in a hardware store. Oh wow, that's a pretty old school method of picking up a dog. Glad to hear you found your dog though. Wishing you all the best. Up your butt it goes. Going on 10 years with Hi Monsieur. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.